Hello, and welcome to Good Vibes Book Club. This is where we discuss a motivational book each and every week. You're just in time to join another journey of mind wealth, life transformation, personal development in the wonderful journey enjoyed by all who love reading books. This week's book is another Amazon bestseller, and it carries wisdom all the way from the richest kingdom which ever lived, Babylon. Yep, you guessed it. We're discussing The Richest Man in Babylon. You need some help with your finances? This book is just meant for you, and its truths are best when applied and put in practice. Okay, so let's get down to business. The scene starts with a discussion between two middle-aged friends, Benzer and Kobe. Benzer was getting discouraged at trying to fix a chariot which seemed to not get fixed. He needed to get it fixed so he can get paid, so he can pay his overdue bills. Kobe, the musician, initially borrowed some money from Benzer, and when Benzer shared that borrowing him some money meant giving away all that he had, the two friends ultimately started talking about how they hate the life of lean wallets and how they want to make real money. Akkad, an age mate of theirs, was known as the richest man in Babylon, and they wondered what went wrong with them, leading slavish lives while Akkad led a luxurious life. They resolved that they will ask Akkad, an old friend of theirs, to share some hints on how they too can fatten their lean purses. They were also fascinated at how Akkad's son was also known to have acquired his own wealth, and they believed that Akkad must have taught him, and as such, he also can teach them. In fact, they believed that the reason they never acquired wealth was because they never sought it, and that they exceeded in the areas they actually sought. So surely if they seek wealth now, if they make it a priority to also learn how to fatten their wallets, they will learn, and they will definitely fatten their wallets. These men felt they had nothing to lose but a lot more to gain if they pursue wealth for themselves and their families. If Akkad can do it, surely they can do it too, right? Yeah. So Akkad was indeed the richest man of his time, and he was famed for his riches, and he was a generous giver as well. Almost as though the more he gave was the more he received. His wealth was not getting any less with him giving to charities. Benzer and Kobe had observed Akkad, and they had grown with him. They knew he was not any smarter than they were. He didn't have exceptional skills or talents, was not exceptionally qualified, and yet his riches set him completely apart from them. They determined to find out what his secret was. Akkad shared that his journey also began with a search of how to acquire wealth. He used to carve clay tablets, and one day struck a deal with a moneylender that he will carve out the large scroll he needed carved within a day, and in return he will share how he became so rich. So he started by seeking out, and that's how he ultimately became rich as well. So after completing his end of the bargain, the moneylender told him that a part of all he earns is his to keep. A part of all he earns is his to keep. He explained that though you claim that your salary is yours, what is actually yours is what remains after you have paid the landlord, the food maker, the car installment, the medical insurance, the school fees, the gardener, the hair salonist, etc. The money you use to pay your expenses is actually not yours. The only money that is actually yours is the money with no expense attached to it. So if you have been working for a year or more and don't have money for yourself to show off your work, then you have been working for someone else and not for yourself. The moneylender further added that every penny you put aside for yourself should bear children. In other words, it should grow. This advice seemed light, and when Akkad asked the moneylender if that's all the advice he was going to give him, the moneylender said that advice was the best advice, and it turned him from tending sheep to being a moneylender. It works when consistently applied, he said. So he explained that everyone needs to pay themselves first. In other words, save not less than 10% of all that you earn every time you earn, and put this money aside before paying any expenses, no matter how little you earn. So wealth is like a tree, and it grows from a tiny seed. The first copper you save is the seed from which your tree will ultimately grow. And so after giving this advice, the moneylender picked up his clay tablet and he left. A year later, the moneylender returned, and Akkad had religiously saved 10% of his earning. So the moneylender asked what he had done with the savings, and he shared that he gave a bricklayer friend of his who promised to buy some precious jewels for him from traveling merchants. The moneylender applauded him for having listened to his advice and having saved, but also shared that his investment would yield to a loss because he trusted it to an unworthy person. So his next advice was that one should seek advice from a professional who works in that field. So ask a bricklayer about making bricks, but ask a jewelry maker about purchasing jewelry, okay? So Akkad later was disappointed as it turned out that his bricklaying friend was actually robbed by the traveling merchants, okay? So he learned from that lesson. A year later, the moneylender returned again, and this time Akkad had saved 10% of his earnings again and had used the investment to buy bronze, which he rented to the shield maker. So the moneylender asked what he did with the money he received for rental. And he said that he purchased some of the fine clothes for himself that he used to want, and he used it to buy things he always wanted to buy for himself and his family and his friends. To this, the moneylender laughed and said, "You can't expect money to work for you if you eat the offspring of your servings. It is best to start with nurturing an army of money offsprings which will work for you so that you can someday start enjoying the money with no regrets." Okay, so you start by saving it. You don't eat it up. The offspring you need to use to gain more money. So 2 years later, the moneylender returned, and this time he looked more wrinkled and old. He asked if Akkad had required his wealth yet, and Akkad shared that he had not yet acquired this wealth, but he's still working on it, and that he followed his advice, that he's still using his savings to generate more, and he's still working on that. The moneylender then emphasized that there is the secret to making and keeping money. Okay, that is the secret, the one that he just gave him. So if he wants to make money and keep money and let money to work for him, he needs to continue doing what he taught him. And so the moneylender was so impressed that he gave him, a huge portion of his estate, because his children were not following the advice, and so he gave it to Akkad. Okay, because he felt that he was a responsible person, and that's how he started. So was he lucky? Not necessarily. Okay, he prepared himself for the opportunity, and the opportunity was there for him, and he continued to grow because of that. So opportunity wastes no time with those who are not prepared to receive it. So this advice Akkad shared with his friends Bensir and Kobe. Akkad was later also called by the king of Babylon to come and share the secrets of wealth with the prominent citizens of the land, so more people could be wealthy in Babylon. When asked his secret, Akkad shared that the advantage that he took, is an advantage which is available to everyone. He took advantage of opportunities and resources available to every citizen of the land. So in other words, everyone can do what he did. So Akkad was also officially requested to teach his secrets to 100 members of the land, and he decided to share the 7 secrets of of curing, or 7 cures of a lean purse. So he was going to do that in a period of 7 days. After each and every day, he would allow them to go back and discuss what he had taught them. So on day 1, he taught, start thy purse to fattening. Start with the money you already have, that you're already making, and start saving at least 10% of that money you already have. And on the second day, control your expenditures. What you call necessary expenses will always be equivalent to your income unless you manage them better. So set a budget for your expenses and strictly spend in accordance to your spending budget, okay? Never use your savings for your expenses. On the third day, he taught, make thy gold multiply. So your savings is only a start, and the kind of investments you make with the savings are what are going to ultimately make you to be prosperous and to be wealthy, okay? So the savings is only a start. Day 4, guard thy treasures from loss. Only invest where it is stable to do so, okay? And invest where you can receive a cash flow or interest. Receive wisdom from wise, wealthy people to help you make wiser decisions too. Okay, and on day 5, make of thy dwelling a profitable investment. In other words, own the roof over your head, own your home, have land. Day 6, he taught, ensure a future income. In other words, provide in advance for the needs of your growing age and the protection of your family. Don't expect your children to be doing that. Make provision for that yourself. Day 7, increase their ability to learn. In other words, continue to learn and be more competent in your field and in acquiring wealth. Keep on growing. Keep on getting better, okay? Do not be in a comfort zone. Continue to develop yourself and become a better version of yourself, okay? So that is what he taught them in the period of the 7 days that he kept meeting with them. And again, they could go back and discuss all that he was teaching them on a day-to-day basis, and any arguments they had, they would sit together and discuss as a team. So Akkad thus taught that acquiring wealth is something we all have the ability to do, and that we should not think of wealth as scarce or a rare commodity, but one that is abundantly available to all who will pursue it. Once pursued, continue to learn and teach others too. As humans, we are meant to groom each other and grow together and from each other, okay, and with each other. So what about those who are lucky, one could say? Are some people just luckier than others? To this, Akkad argues that good luck waits to come to that man who accepts opportunity. Sometimes we need to act promptly when opportunity comes our way, and it will know to continue coming our way. So to enjoy the benefits of continued luck, be prepared, okay? Be prepared and do not procrastinate, okay? Act on it promptly, and then it will continue knocking on your door. So which would you choose? A bag filled with gold or a clay tablet filled with wise words? Most will ignore the wisdom and waste the gold. And yet gold is reserved for those who know its laws and who abides by them. And the 5 laws of gold, or the 5 laws of money, are: number 1, save at least 10% of your earnings and money will continue coming your way. Number 2, find ways to generate more income. Number 3, make wise investments. Ask the wise and the wealthy. Number 4, losses occur in poorly proven and understood investments. So make sure that you take the time to research before you make an investment. And number 5, don't be emotional with money making. Wealth is not an overnight scheme. And in fact, don't believe anyone who says that it is. So be willing to work for it. Be willing to take the necessary steps, because if it comes too easily, it'll go away too easily. But if you know you worked hard to get it, it'll stay more, okay? And you will know to treasure it, and it will, develop roots, the kind of roots that it needs to develop so that it really continues to work for you long term. George Clason shares many examples to support his recommendations, and the one I will close with is the example he shares of a camel trader who wanted to teach a young lad by the name Tucker a lesson. Tucker owed the camel trader some money and was delaying to return it as he had none for himself. So the camel trader took him to a restaurant and ordered fresh goat meat and sat him down. More of the camel trader's friends came to join his table as he was known for his great stories. So he started eating and telling his stories. Tucker was there very hungry himself, but the camel trader only offered him water as he made him sit and listen to his story. In his story, he shared how he had found himself in such debt that he ultimately was sold as a slave and was made a eunuch to take care of a rich man's wives. Okay, now this is not an awesome story, but this is the experience that he wanted Tucker to understand. After feeling pity on him, one day the first wife of the rich man planned a way for him to escape and have the chance to be a free man again. Though his debts were what had made him a slave in his own land, he purposed to return and find some work and pay back to everyone he owed. He owed many people, and so he made a list of all the people he owed and showed each of those people the list and reassured them that he will pay them back in full, but needs some time as he doesn't have the money he owes them. He started paying back slowly till he finally paid back all he owed. Was it easy? No. Was it worth it? Absolutely yes. Where the determination is, the way can be found. So what I take out from this book is that no matter the current financial situation, we all can start acquiring wealth. The trick is to look at the money you receive and ensure that your expenses never exceed 70% of your earnings. Money making is a good friend, and debt is one of the worst enemies we can have in the world. Let's learn to budget money for our personal savings and not save from what remains over after our expenses. If our expenses cover all our income, then we need to curb them. We need to curb those expenses. The journey of sustained wealth begins with what we already have in our pockets, okay? We always start with what we have and we continue on from there. Well, those are some of the lessons I picked up from the book. What else did you learn from the rich man in Babylon? Okay, kindly share your views. Let's kindly learn from each other, okay, and see how we can even implement this in our everyday lives, because these books are intended to make our lives better, to improve a certain aspect of our lives. Did it improve any aspect of your life? Do share. I'd like to hear your stories as well. Well, next week we'll be looking and discussing the book The Alchemist, okay, by Paulo Coelho. Looking forward to that discussion with you as well. Okay, well, thank you so much, and we'll definitely meet again in the next video. Have a good one. Take care.